Welcome back to the Deep Dive, everyone, especially to our listeners tuning in from Cyber Risk 101. Today, we're tackling a topic that's kind of everywhere these days, cybersecurity. And don't worry if you're not like a tech expert or anything. This deep dive is for everyone, really. It's all about taking what we found in the sources you guys sent in and breaking it down, getting to those really interesting, important points. So think of it as a crash course on Cybersecurity 101, perfect for our cyber risk listeners just starting out right.
Exactly. Cybersecurity, it's not just for the techies anymore. In our world today, this digital world, it really affects every single one of us. I mean, think about it. Our personal finances, our online identities, even the essential stuff we rely on every single day, it's all tied to cybersecurity.
So let's break this down a bit, okay? For those of us who are just starting to dip our toes into, all this digital risk stuff, what actually is cybersecurity?
Well, at its heart, you can think of it as protecting things. Protecting systems, networks, and all that data from digital attacks. And these attacks can take so many forms. Data breaches, malware, phishing scams, ransomware attacks. It's a whole world of digital threats out there.
So it's like we're trying to protect our whole digital lives from all those scary things we hear about in the news, right? Now, our sources get pretty specific here. They break down cybersecurity into all these different areas. Network security, information security, application security. There's even operational security and cloud security. Why so many different categories? It seems like a lot to keep track of.
Well, it's because cybersecurity has so many different facets, you see. Each one of these areas is like a layer of protection. They all work together to create, a really comprehensive security posture. So you've got your network security. That's focused on protecting your computer networks from anyone who shouldn't be there. And then there's information security. That's about keeping your sensitive data safe and sound, no matter where it lives, on your computer or up in the cloud.
Okay, that makes sense. But it makes me think about all those times we hear about data breaches, like those incidents where hackers get their hands on all that sensitive stuff, credit card numbers, social security numbers. It's scary stuff.
And our sources bring up a big one here, the Equifax breach from way back in 2017. Can you remind us what went down there?
Oh, the Equifax breach. Yeah, that was a major wake-up call for a lot of folks. Basically, hackers found a weakness in their system. And they got in, stealing personal data from a massive number of people. We're talking 147 million people. And it wasn't just small stuff. This included social security numbers, addresses, birth dates, the kind of information that can lead to identity theft and financial fraud.
It's frightening to think that just one vulnerability can have such a massive impact on so many lives. And what's even crazier, Equifax ended up paying a huge settlement, $700 million. It really shows you just how high the stakes are when it comes to cybersecurity, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it's not just about the financial hit either. Data breaches like this can seriously damage reputations and erode trust in institutions. It's a big deal. Our sources also highlighted the Colonial Pipeline attack back in 2021. That one really showed us all how vulnerable some of our most critical systems are.
The Colonial Pipeline, that's the biggest fuel pipeline in the entire U.S. And they got hit with ransomware. Hackers basically locked down their systems and demanded payment to unlock them. And you know what? It caused huge fuel shortages and panic buying at gas stations across the country.
It felt like something out of a movie, honestly. This wasn't just about a company losing money. This disrupted the lives of millions of people. And it really highlighted how interconnected everything is in this digital world of ours.
Exactly. The Colonial Pipeline attack was a huge wake-up call. It showed everyone that cyber attacks can have real-world consequences that go way beyond the immediate target.
And it's not just massive companies or critical infrastructure that are at risk, right? We all use social media, online banking, all these digital services, and they're all potential targets. Our sources even brought up the Twitter hack from 2020, where hackers took over a bunch of high-profile accounts.
Right. That hack used what we call social engineering to get into those accounts. Accounts like Elon Musk and Barack Obama, big names. And the crazy thing is, they didn't need some super complex coding to do it. They just manipulated people into giving up information or access.
So they used trickery instead of some super sophisticated hacking technique.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of unsettling, honestly. What were they even hoping to gain from doing that?
Money, plain and simple. They pushed a Bitcoin scam, promising to double people's money if they sent Bitcoin to a specific address. And unfortunately, a lot of people fell for it. It led to a lot of people losing money, and it damaged Twitter's reputation, too.
It really just goes to show how easily people can be tricked, even experienced internet users. But one positive thing that came out of this whole mess is that it really highlighted the importance of multi-factor authentication, or MFA. That adds an extra layer of security to our accounts, right?
Absolutely. With MFA, it makes it much harder for unauthorized access, even if someone gets a hold of your password. It's like having both a lock and a deadbolt on your door. That extra protection can make a world of difference.
Okay, so we've talked about how cyber attacks can range from huge breaches to those targeted scams. It's a lot to take in, honestly. But our sources also make it clear that cybersecurity isn't just about reacting to these threats. It's about taking those steps to protect ourselves before anything even happens.
You got it. Being proactive is key. And one of the most basic things you can do is create strong, unique passwords for every single online account you have. I know it can be tempting to just use the same password everywhere, but think of it this way. It's like using the same key for your house, your car, and your office. If someone gets their hands on that one key, well, they have access to everything.
That's a great way to put it. And what about those password managers I keep hearing about? Do those actually help?
Absolutely. Password managers are like having a super secure vault for all your passwords. They create and store those complex passwords for you, so you only need to remember one master password to unlock the vault.
Okay, password manager, check. Our sources also talk about how important it is to keep all our software and devices updated. I'll be honest, I sometimes ignore those little update notifications. Are they really that crucial?
You know, those updates are more important than people realize. A lot of times they include fixes for security vulnerabilities, the kind of weaknesses that hackers can exploit. Think of those updates as security guards for your devices. They're always working to keep you safe from the newest threats out there.
Software updates, check. What about those phishing scams we were talking about earlier? How can we avoid falling for those?
The key is to be really cautious with any email or link that looks even a little suspicious, especially the ones that seem too good to be true, or the ones that try to make you feel like you have to act right away. Take a close look at the sender's email address. Hover over any links to see where they actually lead, and never click on anything if you're not absolutely sure about it.
So it's like they say, trust, but verify. Mace. Speaking of being careful, what about public Wi-Fi networks? Those free ones you find at coffee shops and airports. Are those safe to use?
Public Wi-Fi can be pretty risky, to be honest.
Oh no.
They're often not secured, which means that someone could potentially intercept your internet traffic. It's best to avoid doing anything sensitive on those networks, like online banking or shopping.
Makes sense.
But if you absolutely have to use public Wi-Fi, think about using a VPN.
A VPN. I've heard that term before, but I'm not entirely sure what it does.
A VPN is basically like creating a secret tunnel for your internet traffic. It encrypts your data, making it much harder for anyone to snoop on what you're doing.
So it's like having a secret code that only you and the website you're visiting can understand.
Exactly. It's especially important on public Wi-Fi, where anyone could be listening in on your connection.
I never thought about it like that. Our sources also talk about backing up our data. Is that really necessary these days? I mean, doesn't everything just live in the cloud now?
Backing up your data is like having an insurance policy for your digital life. If your computer crashes, gets stolen, or gets hit with ransomware, you'll still have a copy of all your important files.
So it's like having a backup plan just in case something goes wrong. Where's the best place to back up everything?
You can use an external hard drive or a cloud storage service. Both options have their pros and cons. It really depends on your needs and how comfortable you are with each option.
Okay, so data backup, check. We've covered a lot of ground here. It seems like cybersecurity is something you constantly have to be learning about.
It definitely is. The world of cyber threats is always evolving. With new vulnerabilities and attack methods popping up all the time, it's important to stay informed and keep adapting your security practices.
It can feel a bit overwhelming, but it sounds like even those small steps can make a big difference.
Absolutely. And it's not just about individuals taking responsibility. Organizations have a huge role to play, too. Our sources really highlight how interconnected everything is in the digital world. One weak link can have a ripple effect, impacting not just one person, but entire systems.
Yeah, that brings us back to the Colonial Pipeline attack. It wasn't just about the company losing money. It ended up disrupting the lives of millions of people. So what can organizations do to strengthen their cybersecurity?
They need to make cybersecurity a priority, investing in strong security measures. Things like firewalls, intrusion detection systems, anti-malware software. It's like building a digital fortress around all their data and systems, with layers of protection to keep those hackers out.
But as we saw with the Twitter hack, sometimes it's not about fancy technology. It's about human error.
That's right. Organizations need to focus on training their employees, teaching them about cybersecurity best practices, and creating a culture of security awareness. Everyone needs to be on the same page, from the CEO all the way down to the interns. Everyone needs to understand their role in protecting the organization's data and systems.
It's like a team sport. Everyone needs to know the playbook and work together to defend against the other team.
Exactly. That includes creating strong passwords, recognizing those phishing scams, and reporting anything suspicious.
Now, our sources also mention cloud security, which seems pretty relevant these days. With more businesses and people relying on cloud services, is the cloud inherently less secure than traditional systems?
Not necessarily. Cloud providers put a lot of effort into security, but users also need to do their part. They need to make sure they're configuring their cloud environments securely. It's a shared responsibility model.
So it's about understanding the security settings and making smart choices to protect our data in the cloud. What about those insider threats? It seems like it'd be tough to protect against someone who already has access.
Insider threats are definitely tricky. They can be really hard to detect and prevent. But organizations can implement strong access controls, limiting who can see sensitive data, and they can monitor user activity for anything that looks out of place.
So they're being proactive and having systems in place to spot those threats,
Right.
whether they're coming from outside or inside the organization.
Exactly. It's also crucial to have an incident response plan ready so everyone knows what to do if a security breach does happen. Think of it as a fire drill for your digital world.
Being prepared is so important. We've been focusing a lot on the technical stuff, but our sources really emphasize the human side of cybersecurity.
You're absolutely right. Cybersecurity isn't just about the technology. It's about people, understanding how people use technology, and creating a culture where everyone is aware of the risks.
It seems like even with all the best tech in the world, human behavior can still be that weak link. So how do we fix that? How do we build a stronger security culture?
Education, that's the key. We need to start early, teaching kids about online safety and how to be responsible digital citizens. And for adults, it's all about raising awareness about the most common threats, things like phishing, and promoting good habits when it comes to passwords.
So we need to help people become more aware and cautious online. But cybersecurity isn't just an individual responsibility, right? You talked about shared responsibility before. What did you mean by that?
Right. Creating a safer digital world requires all of us to work together. It's like a neighborhood watch, but for the internet. We've got to look out for each other, share info about potential threats, and help each other stay safe.
I like that, a neighborhood watch for the internet. But how do we actually do that? What does that look like in practice?
It can be as simple as talking to your family and friends about cybersecurity, share some tips on creating strong passwords, how to spot those phishing scams, and just being careful about what they click on. It might seem small, but those conversations can really make a difference.
Yeah, those little things add up.
Yep.
We can also support organizations that are working to promote cybersecurity awareness and education. Even volunteering our time or spreading the word about best practices can help build a stronger defense.
Exactly. And it's important to remember that cybersecurity is always changing. New threats are popping up all the time, so we have to stay informed.
That's where resources like Cyber Risk 101 come in, right? Podcasts, articles, online communities, they can all give us valuable insights and keep us up to date on the latest threats and best practices.
You got it. And remember, you don't have to become a cybersecurity expert overnight. It's about those small steps, those consistent efforts to improve your online safety, and encourage the people around you to do the same.
Well said. We've covered so much in this deep dive, from understanding the different types of cyber threats and how they can impact us in the real world, to all those practical tips for protecting ourselves and creating a culture of shared responsibility.
It's been a really great discussion. I hope all our listeners from Cyber Risk 101 feel more confident about navigating the digital world safely.
Me too. Yeah. If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to check out Cyber Risk 101. They go even deeper into all things cybersecurity. And don't forget, we're always on the lookout for new topics to explore. So head over to our website or social media channels and tell us what you're curious about.
And while you're there, make sure to subscribe to the deep dive and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next adventure into the world of knowledge.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe online.